Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the reboot of Joe's Corner. Now, if you guys don't know, Joe's Corner has kind of been in the past all over the place, really. It kind of, if people are like, what is Joe's Corner? It came out of like one deck profile that I decided to do, and I didn't really know where to take it, and I still don't really know where to take it, but, I wanted to get back into kind of helping out the channel and talking about stuff with you guys. So I'm just going to kind of talk about what I think is really cool and forceful right now and like things that really interest me. And so when I saw at the WGPQ, I saw this really cool Chamimi deck list. I wasn't really sure how people were building her. And so I saw this like aggro swarm zoo deck list and I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to kind of go into that more and look at what I thought was so cool about it. It's kind of like a deck profile, but I don't know, I call it more like a deck analysis or like a deck critique. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy kind of what I'm going to talk about. First I just want to talk about like what the deck is supposed to do. I got my handy dandy notes here, so I'll probably, be looking at those. So the cool thing about this deck is that it's actually really fast. In the deck archetype would kind of be like a zoo deck archetype, which means that you want to play a lot of creatures, or resonators in this case. Sorry, I might use magic terms a lot. I don't mean to. So in this case, the deck consists of almost 70% resonators. Real quick, I want to talk about kind of the curve of the deck. So you have 24 1-cost cards, which is over half the deck, 13 2-cost cards, which is pretty insane, and it only has 4 3-cost cards. So what I really like about this curve is that it's super low. The only 3-cost cards it's running are the Lorite 7 Disciples. So, there's this zoo swarm aggro style that the deck is going for. And it really, the curve is kind of, how fast the deck works. And so this is going to be a really fast deck. I kind of want to get into just a couple of cards that I think are really important that kind of bring the deck together and that I thought were really cool choices. So the first one I want to talk about are the Pygmy Hippos. They're super cool. When I first saw them, I thought they were really great, like mid-range aggro kind of cards, resonators. So in this deck, you have 7 beasts, you have 4 hippos and 3 Mackays. So, if you have a hippo and another hippo, you can reveal both hippos to play the first hippo. Another really cool trick that the deck kind of wants to do is you can play hippo and then cancel the hippo's entry ability with a Lorite. And because the deck wants to be fast and wants to be aggro instead of kind of reactive, you actually want to be playing your Lorites as much as you can. So the really nice part about that is like you get to play your Lorites in order to enable your hippos. And hippos are some big hitters. Like they have 600 attack. They're really aggro 1-drops, and they're really great for this deck. Along with the Lorites, and then so a really good curve, for example, would be like turn 1 you might play a fairy or a hippo maybe, and then if you have another hippo, and then turn 2 you can play a hippo and a Lorite to cancel the hippo. And then turn 3, you might play something like Lorite 7 Disciples or, more hippos or something like that. Obviously, Lorite 7 Disciples, I think, is a card that everybody had been sleeping on and is now seeing a lot more resurgence. People are finally realizing that this card is incredibly strong, that, it comes out, it has ridiculous stats, it has the swiftness, flying, and barrier is all insane. When the minute it comes down, it starts working towards it. And this is really the deck's main engine. It's the main heavy hitter of the deck. It's what you want to be playing all the time. And it's what is basically going to win you games. I want to talk about how cool I thought Viola was in this deck. She is a good aggro. I believe that people put her in and discovered the tech in order to cancel, in order to handle time spinning witch stuff. I just think she's so good in this deck because she has a plus 200 and flying, which allows you to push damage through. She's a quick cast, so you can bring her in and you can block with, she'll be an 800 flyer, I believe, because you can give it to herself. And the important part is that you can banish her to remove a card in an enemy's graveyard. Sometimes this, this can work well against Brunhild. I think that it's a pretty decent tech against Time Spinning Witch. Sometimes, if they've tapped out to play their first Distortion of Time, then you can kind of get rid of that before they're able to activate the God's Arts ability. Or, force them to activate it when they don't want to activate it. Maybe with the Lorite in hand or something. So I think she's a really good tech that is kind of meta dependent. She also is, ideally you can block IU when, if somebody's going for like a game winning swing, you can flash her in and declare blockers, and hopefully, they don't have a Samurai Spirit that gets past her. But she's really nice. I think she's a really great tech for kind of the meta stuff that's going on. And I think she's a card that I wouldn't have thought to put in a deck like this, but she's really good. Another one I wouldn't have thought to put in here is 100 Eyes one. It is a yokai, which means for the rune deck, the deck plays Yokai Festival, which I think is a insanely good card. When I brewed the deck, I wanted to brew it around using Yokai Festival to bring out 2 Karuras, and then, she's just a crazy card by herself. But I really like that this deck is using the 100-eyed ones to force through damage and stop blockers, because 100-eyed ones, it has a decent body. When you play the card, it's 3 will for 2 bodies, which I think is insane value. It's really, really nice. And then on top of that, you were able to get this damage through. So 100-eyed ones is really solid. And it wouldn't really work out with this deck if it wasn't for Yokai Festival, because I think Yokai Festival is just so strong. And then, those are some of the cards that I really like in the deck. If we look into the stone deck, I think there's great synergy in there. You have the Spirit Stones, which are just regular green, but you can sack them to draw a card, and you have the Speaking Stones, which is pretty much money for any green deck ever. The barrier that it has allows you to kind of dodge Time Spinning Witch with her dinosaurs, her Mosasaurus, and on top of that you get access to Ruin Story, which is super solid. This deck is running 3 of them, but it's the only story card that is in the deck, besides some 1 or 2 in the sideboard. So I really like the stone deck. Green has a lot of access to some really good stuff. The Spirit Stones are great for the other rune deck card that I really think is strong, Forest Meditation. It's, played at the beginning of, early in the game when it can't be countered or it can't be messed up or disrupted. It's super solid. You can rest your Spirit Stones. You rest your Spirit Stones and then you sacrifice them, and you get to draw 2 cards, and then you play Forest Meditation to bring them back, and then you draw an extra card. It's essentially a 0-cost card for 3 will if it's not, or for 3 cards if it's not interrupted. If it is, you might be pretty far behind. And then last, the thing I really like about this deck, a really cool interaction that I hadn't thought about, they play Rapid Fire Me on top of Sandstorm, which enables you, it's basically a 1 will, 400 damage board wipe, and then you add the 200 damage from Sandstorm, which is a red card, but it's free. So it gets by, it uses this to kind of push through its aggro agenda. A lot of the 1-cost cards and 2-cost cards are just about 600 defense, usually below. Some of them, like Ray, can dodge it and won't get hit by that. But that's something I think is really solid. I also like how you can back it up with stuff. The deck runs stuff like Magic Boomerang and McKay to actually do an extra 400 damage. And so it hits stuff with 1,000 damage. And I think that's something that's really solid about it. Obviously, you have Chamimi's Master Rune, which brings in the 3 elephants, and Chamimi herself, which buffs all of your resonators. So I think that also really plays into this aggro swarm deck. I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to bring up in the deck. I thought the Violas were just so cool and such a great meta card that people, because I think there are better 2-cost cards, and I think there are better 1-cost cards that people could have put in this deck. But Viola is so good versus Time Spinning Witch, and she's a really great, buff and a really great 2-drop with quick cast. So I think her and the 100 Eyes ones, I was really impressed about this deck. The only thing, if I was going to change anything, I feel like I would put Karuru, maybe like 1 or 2 Karurus, but I feel like it might mess up the tempo. Overall, I'm really a big fan of this deck. After brewing my own Chamimi deck, I think this is a really solid way to bring her. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little Joe's Corner. It's, it's the first one for hopefully many to come, and let me know what you guys thought in the video, and let me know in the comments below, and yeah, thanks for watching.